The Joe Rogan Experience.
Has anyone contacted you before this or since, in particular, and asked for your advice as to how they can better prepare? Like in terms of like the president?
Oh, the president hasn't, but I know a number of the people who are working in the White House.
And they've contacted you?
Oh, yeah. I've served roles in the last 5 presidential administrations. I worked for 2 Republican governors, 2 Democratic governors, as you appreciate, one independent wrestler I worked for, too, when he was governor, Jesse.
Oh.
And
that's right.
Yeah. And so, I've never had a partisan, I'm just a private in the public health army.
Right.
And so I actually served as a science envoy for this administration in the State Department last year. I'm still in my full-time job at the university. And so I've never been, I'm there to give the best advice I can. And so I've talked to a lot of these people there at the CDC, at Health and Human Services, et cetera. So, yeah, we've given a lot of advice.
And do you think there's anything that you could do now that could help them make sure that we don't have these shortages of masks and shortages of medicine and IV bags, and something that could be done to – you've laid out all these problems, and you laid it out in your book here that people can buy right now. Go pick it up on Amazon, right? Is there an audio version of it as well?
There is.
All right. Do you read it?
The book?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
In fact,
version?
I have. I don't know. I don't read it myself. No, there's actually a really good voice. It's not mine.
Well, it should be you, man. That drives me crazy. Someone else does it.
Yeah. No, this is the challenge we have is today in this environment, everything's just-in-time delivery. Look at you go online and you whatever place you're ordering from, Amazon or wherever, you expect it there the next day.
Yeah.
People forget that we don't have that capacity today to suddenly make lots of things. So right now, all the mass manufacturers in North America are working 110% time. But if they were trying to fill all the orders they've gotten just in the last few weeks, it would take them years and years with the capacity they have. And you can't go build these new machines to make masks overnight.
So this is something that should be set in advance of anything like this, any pandemic happening, like long in advance, we should be prepared.
Think about the issue with defense. We prepare all the time well in advance. We don't build an aircraft carrier at the moment we think we're going to go to battle. We look at what all do we need. We don't do that in public health. We've tried. And so, you know what? Stockpiling 500 million of these N95s would have been the difference between night and day. And when you look at the price of one of those versus one airplane, not even close. If you look at the things like that, it's like these medications I talk about. Think about our own Defense Department employees are at risk of running out of these critical drugs because they get them from China. What a vulnerability.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is take a step back we can start now, but we're not going to fix it now. Is to say, what are the key things that we should do? Vaccines, if we had been serious about this, we might very well have had a coronavirus vaccine that whether it worked specifically for this strain, whether it worked for SARS or MERS. But right after SARS happened in 2003, everybody was hot on a new vaccine. And then when it went away, the interest waned.
Is it something like the flu where, sometimes when they come up with a flu vaccine, it doesn't necessarily address the current strain?
Yeah, it could be. And that's where a coronavirus family vaccine may not match up right here now, but it could. And the flu one, you've really hit on an important point. There's one where, we do have an imperfect vaccine, but it still does a lot of good. If 50% of the people are protected, that's a heck of a lot better than 0.
Yeah.
If we had a vaccine right now that 50% of the people could be protected against this virus, man, think of all the lives we'd save. So the bottom line message is we can't wait until the crisis to fix these things. You know what? We spend about 0.0001% on public health compared to our Defense Department, and yet look how vulnerable. It's the bugs. It's not a war.
Yeah.
It's not a missile. It's bringing down the world economy right now.
Yeah.
It's a darn virus.
Yeah.
And so this is where I think, and that's what I tried to say in my book, was all about that. I went into what we needed to do. In fact, I hate it when people come up and say, we're screwed. My whole bottom line is, well, what are you going to do about it then? And that's what I laid out a whole plan in here, like these vaccines, like the stockpiles of masks. We should have a plan in place already. What are we going to do with our schools when they close? Are we going to really close schools? Let's not try to make this on the fly. I just mentioned if we close schools, we are going to really hurt some people. And people may die in healthcare facilities, hospitals, because we don't have enough nurses or healthcare workers. Why have to make that decision all of a sudden? We could have planned for that a long time ago. And so I think hopefully this is a wake-up call because, nobody I think really believed this. I got to tell you, the market today, as you know, on this particular day crashed badly. And, I think that up till 10 days ago, the market didn't even think this was a possibility. They just, if you look at it, it was flying high. On Friday, I did a briefing for over 400 major financial investors around the world. And, how I'm talking to you right now, I'm not trying to be scary. I'm just trying to tell the facts and make sure people understand it. The questions I got from these people almost remind me of a 6-year-old who was afraid to have to go through down a dark hallway. And I thought, I actually said to friends and colleagues Friday night, I said, you know what, Monday's market's not going to look good. Because I could hear the fear in these people, okay? Well, we shouldn't be there. We should be, what are we going to do? We have a problem. It's like a forest fire, whatever. We got a problem. What are we going to do about it? Financially, how are we going to get through this? Where are we going to go with it? No plans again. It's caught everybody by surprise. I mean, you were one of the few people that wanted to deal with this issue. We set this up several weeks ago. You guys saw it coming, and I think that's where the country hasn't seen it. Now they're getting it.
Well, I'm paranoid.